to Rider Guide. Today I have the Denago Fat Tire 2, and yes, that is the name of this bike. And as the name suggests, it is a fat tire e-bike, and you're getting a lot of the standard features and components that you would expect on a fat tire bike around this $1,800 price point. The nice part is that it does have a few features that help it stand out from the competition, and so we're for sure gonna look at those and show you what maybe it does better than other bikes at this price point. So let's start by looking at the components and features on this bike, and then I'm gonna take it for a ride around here in the mountains. We're gonna do paved trails, we're gonna do off-road trails, and we're gonna see how it does in a setting like this, because I think this is the perfect opportunity for a fat tire e-bike like this to shine. At the end, I'll tell you what I like and dislike about this and tell you if you should consider this bike. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So this is the step-through version of this bike, and so obviously you're gonna have this dropped frame, and that makes it really approachable for any height or size of rider. You get about 26-inch tires, and they're 4 inches wide. They are a little bit skinnier than you sometimes see on really fat tire e-bikes. But obviously they're significantly wider than a normal bike tire, and they're going to be really great for all-terrain riding. You get a pretty standard front suspension fork from Zoom. It looks like about 70 to 100 millimeters of travel, somewhere in there. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it should be plenty for dirt roads and anything that this bike is designed to do. You get a 750 watt hub motor and a claimed top speed of 28 miles an hour. You also get a torque sensor, which means it will read how hard you're pedaling rather than just if you're pedaling or not, and it will give you power according to that. You get a really beefy 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. It has a claimed top range of 78 miles. That's in the lowest pedal assist mode, which means that you should expect to get around at least 30 miles of range, even in the top riding mode. It's UL certified, meaning that you're getting the absolute maximum safety when it comes to the battery. You don't have to worry about battery fires or anything like that. Up here in the cockpit, you get some really great locking grips. You get a throttle, which needs to be installed after you set up the bike, so it doesn't come installed on the handlebars. So you have to take this brake lever and this grip off in order to install the throttle. You could also install it over on this side if you want it on the same side as your shifter. You get a really standard 8-speed Shimano Altis drivetrain, and you get a nice color center display. I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but this is actually quite visible even in the bright sunlight. One of the things you don't always see on fat tire bikes, even at this price, is the hydraulic disc brakes, and these are Tektro. They felt really, really great. You get 180 millimeter rotors with them, and so braking power is really good. And then for the last few features, you get a 25 kilogram rack, so that's about 55, 60 pounds that it can carry. You get a pretty standard front headlight, and you obviously get the battery that can be locked in and popped in and out if you want to charge it out of the bike. So the things that set this apart, as mentioned, are that torque sensor. You don't always get that on bikes at this price. The color display is something that you don't always see either. And then the really solid hydraulic disc brakes is another feature that I'm really happy to see and kind of sets it apart from other bikes at this price. So obviously, generally speaking, even with those few features that you don't always see on bikes, this still is a pretty standard fat tire e-bike, but the real question is going to be, how does it actually perform when riding? Does it have any weird quirks? And does it hold up to a little bit of off-road abuse? Let's go find out right now. All right, let's start out with a spin on this kind of partially paved path. I'm in gear 5 right now. I'm gonna do a rundown of all the gears in a second. I'm gonna get up to a kind of a straight stretch here and do a top speed test. It's supposed to have a top speed of 28 miles an hour. Typically that's pretty accurate on these bikes. Okay, I have a flat stretch. I'm gonna do a top speed run here and see if it really does go 28 miles an hour and how fast it gets up to that top speed. So mode 5, ready, 3, 2, 1, go. It's pretty quick off the line, but not overly aggressive because of that torque sensor. It's really just reading how hard I'm pedaling. Showing 29 miles an hour on the speedometer, but I can kind of feel the bike holding back. Like it probably could go faster, but it must be firmware limited. But regardless, this is obviously a very fast bike. I really like the feel of it so far. Sometimes cheaper ones have, or lower quality ones have. It's just kind of an overall kind of wobbly, sketchy feeling, and this bike doesn't have that at all. It feels super solid. There's no brake rubbing, there's no jangling. It has an overall really solid, stable feel to it, which I definitely appreciate. We are going to be taking this for an off-road ride, you know, nothing too intense, but kind of what you would expect it to be able to handle well. And that will also kind of give us an idea of how stable, how solid of a bike this is, but so far it feels really good. You can kind of test out the hill climbing here. This isn't a super steep hill, but it's fairly steep. And we're at some pretty high elevation, so I'll be able to kind of tell how winded I get here. Do you need downshift a little bit? Yeah, just a couple downshifts there. And that handled that easily at like 15 miles an hour. Let me run through the riding modes real quick. Riding mode 1 is Eco, and it actually is pretty good. It's actually a pretty natural riding feel. You know, you do have to exert some force, but overall it feels kind of like it would feel if you were riding just a normal bike. Mode number 2 here is only slightly faster. It's actually quite similar. Let's jump up to 3. This is what they call the normal mode. And I think most people are gonna feel quite comfortable in this mode. Like, it really is the normal mode. Once you're getting up into modes 4 and 5, you're kind of getting into those more power-oriented modes. If you're trying to accelerate really quickly or constantly be going the top speeds, those are the modes you're gonna wanna use. But if you're just going for a nice casual ride, mode 3 is more than enough. And like I said, it's torque sensor, and so it's reading how hard you're pedaling and applying power accordingly. So it's not really, you know, capping your top speed, it's more of capping that power level, but you can get it up to the higher speeds if you want to without needing to increase the riding mode. And then mode 4, they just call high, and you actually do feel a significant jump going from 3 to 4. It stops feeling as, you know, torquey, like where you need to really apply a lot of force to get up to the higher speeds. It has a much more like hub cadence sensor feel. And then obviously mode 5 is going to take that to the next level. And it is going to be your funnest mode. And it doesn't need a lot of urging to really get going. Okay, let's jump right into the fun stuff here. Gonna do some light off-roading here. And this is, in my opinion, why you buy a bike like this. This is where it shines the most. I'm actually even gonna go down a level. It's almost too powerful for a trail like this. I'm just gonna ride in normal mode here. And this is where these fat tire bikes shine. You get lots of really good traction. You know, suspension isn't crazy, but it's plenty for any type of, you know, this style of riding that you're gonna do. And this is the type of bike that you're going to be taking on camping trips, up to your cabin, you know, kind of like I have, where I have it right now. You know, if you're an RVer, anything like that, these are a great way to not only get around, but they're a ton of fun too. You're not going to be wanting on power, you're not going to be wanting on traction, and you don't have to like go all out and buy like a crazy, you know, $6,000 specialized mountain bike. You can get one of these and do pretty much anything you'd want to do in this type of setting. Traction feels great. Again, the quality feels really great. I mean, you can't really hear anything. Even the tires aren't really making that much noise. This is definitely one of like the least problematic fat tire bikes I've tested. Usually you have to do a little bit of tweaking here and there, but you know, I mess with almost nothing out of the box. I just put this together out of the box, you know, made sure the tires were inflated to a good spot, and boom, it's good to roll. So this bike is a little bit on the bigger and heavier side. So if you're a smaller rider or you're worried about being able to control a lot of weight, you might want to go with maybe like a folding fat tire bike. That is kind of, so far, one of the only downsides I'm seeing is that it is quite a heavy bike. I think you're getting exactly what you want, what you expect at that, you know, $1,700, $1,800 price point. It doesn't have any issues. Super solid right out of the box. Like I already explained, I think this is the perfect bike for camping, RVing, being out in nature. But you could also obviously use it for a commute or whatever. I think getting a fat tire bike is a little bit overkill if you're not commuting in snow or need to take like a dirt path to work or something. But this bike excels at what it feels like it's designed to do. So if you like what you see here, or you just want to take a look at the bike, the link to it will be down below in the description. As always, using those links if you're going to buy supports us and the channel, so we can keep, you know, making as many of these reviews as possible, so you guys know the best, you know, bikes and scooters and electric skateboards and all that stuff that are on the market right now. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.